And that is what you're seeing, all differences trying to replace Baba. It can never happen. You are not going to replace him. You know, you are not, I'm sorry to say, I do not like fighting women, especially in politics and in leadership, because I know how difficult it is to get there. But we also have to call each other out. But I'm sorry to say, Gladys Wanga, that's not how you're going to convince the masses that you are befitting to take over that party. I think in one way or another, Kenyans also, you know, Kenyans are not stupid.
I can see.
Yeah? Like, you see how they made sure that Babu Owino doesn't speak anywhere. But somehow, even when they were doing those introductions, just the name of Babu Owino drove the masses crazy. You know? And it's not to say that Babu Owino is a saint. No, for crying out loud, he's not a saint. He has done so many things that I am so against of, yeah? But sometimes the people understand that this is the person we trust, and this is the person that we want to follow. And I really do hope that Babu Owino breaks away from all that circus that has become ODM now and just forms his party, because the people will follow him. There's this issue of Luo Nyanza, and they felt like maybe they wanted to liberate this country, but their leader, you know, had some sort of understanding with the current government of the day. So even the scaffold that you're seeing is about Luo Nyanza wanting to participate in the liberation of this country by joining the united opposition, which is why I feel that to people like Sifuna and Babu Owino, if it is proving to be difficult to persuade and convince those within the Orange Democratic Movement Party that they should now come out of that arrangement for whatever reason, I think these are people who have their own brands. If they break away and they form their own parties, the people will just move with them. Because I can tell you today, if Babu Owino forms a party, I promise you, membership within 2 weeks will just skyrocket. Yeah. So I think sometimes also as young people, we have imposter syndrome. We don't believe in ourselves that much. So there's always something that's holding you back. You keep thinking, let me wait for
somebody else
to tell me. Let me wait for, because we have, and it's something that within even the political spaces, when you try to come out, you're immediately pushed down. So we have a lot of imposter syndrome. But I would challenge these individuals, because it looks, you know, also there comes a time in a community where you as a leader must rise up. You must rise up and you must lead your people. And with the confusion that is going on in ODM, I feel this is the time that Babu Owino should rise up and lead his people. The people are just waiting for him to give direction. They will follow him. Some of these things, no matter how much you want to manufacture them and fix them like a Lego or whatever, when God has given you favor, you know, things just fall in place. And I believe, for whatever reason, Babu Owino has God's favor. That's what I believe. Yeah, and I should be the last person to say that, because I've criticized him a lot of times with the incidences of the shooting and all that. We've done shows with him where we've been arguing. But you know, also you have to come to a realization that leadership is so complicated in many ways that sometimes you wake up in 2025 as Babu Owino, having shot a DJ and having had all those tribulations, and God has said, you are the person who I want you to lead the Luo. And how are you going to argue with God? What you see these other people doing is arguing with God. It is useless. It's counterproductive. It's just a matter of time before. In fact, I used to tell people, and I don't know why William Ruto and his people don't say this. When we were campaigning for William Ruto in 2022, there's nothing that he didn't go through. There's nothing that the government of the day didn't do to him, you know, or to his people. But in the end, he sat in State House.
And yet, it's interesting that you say that, because then when the principals or the would-be generals or the folks then who were, you know, subservient to Baba in one way or another, when they hear the things that you say now about individuals like Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, they seem to get a bee in their bonnet. Yeah. Because they don't want to hear that. Why would that be in the political sphere?
Because most of those people who do not like Babu Owino, who do not like Sifuna, have never worked hard to create their own brand. They have never had their own brand. If I tell you ODM, and just by the top, I give you 10 seconds, mention people, I don't think you'll go past 10. Like, just out of the, you know, you will be like, oh, Babu Owino, Sifuna, Millie Odhiambo.
James
Then you
Orengo.
start hanging, You start hanging because you're like, okay, who are the other people we know in part? Because they've never really created their own brands. And that's why they look at, and this thing, I say it as a personal experience. Even in Senate, the people who had the biggest fights with me are people who will never be able to create their own brands. They'll never stand for anything. They'll never go out there and push an agenda. They want to have it easy and still fight you who's creating your own brand. Babu has created his own brand over the years. His own brand. He was the only person who the parliamentarians were calling him to go to Kasarani so that he could calm down the crowds during the viewing. In parliament, Gladys Bosrole, deputy speaker, renowned politician, was unable to address the masses. She had to give the leaves to Babu and beg Babu, please tell these people not to break through to parliament. So, sometimes, and that doesn't come easy. It doesn't come to enter a room and command the space is something you work on and you create on as a politician, as a leader. Most of these leaders used to survive through the brand that Baba had created. So now, when that's not there, there are some people who can never enter any room and address any crowd. And those are the people who are fighting the likes of Babu and Sifuna. And who, you see, after I say Babu and Sifuna, I kind of have, I'm like, the other ODM people. You see what I mean, Yeah, because I'm not talking about a brand within your constituency. I'm talking about a national brand. A brand where, when I go to Samburu, people know me in Samburu. No, Mama wa Pads. A brand where you can go anywhere in this country and people know you for your work, not for your nonsense, for your work. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you look at most of these ODM politicians, they don't have it.
So, if this is the case, why is there such spirited effort or attempt, even as it is on the front of the Standard today, for then the president and the party, in this case, not government, the president and the party, UDA, to then be in this tight camaraderie with ODM, if there's really nothing to offer? Or is it the dregs, is it the substance, that the spirit of Raila Odinga and the movement that they're after, or the people to increase the numbers, thinking that Kenyans will support? What's that for?
You see, there was a level of comfort that President William Ruto had when he had Baba in government. And nobody anticipated that Baba was going to die, to be honest. And that level of comfort was that in our mathematics of numbers, we had Luo Nyanza locked because Baba would convince his people to vote for us for a second term. Yeah? Now, in the absence of Baba, William Ruto is not a stupid politician. He knows that he can't be comfortable. He can't be comfortable because their biggest undoing was they were very comfortable. And that comfort, I used to wonder, where would it come from? Because even if Baba had not died, I don't think Baba was going to support them in 2027. But there's a level of comfort. So what you see happening is the panic for particularly William Ruto trying to figure out, how will I hold on to this Luo Nyanza? I'm sorry to say this, that's why a lot of things happened the way they happened in the funeral, and they kept on saying it's a state funeral. Because it's a state funeral, we can't allow ABCD. I mean, a state funeral or not a state funeral, and you can say whatever you want to say, I don't know, I'm amateur, I don't know, but your friends should be allowed to bid you farewell. SK Mashara, everybody knew that was Raila Odinga's friend for the longest time. They should be allowed to bid you farewell. Martha Karua, who partnered with him, should have been allowed to bid farewell to the... But yeah, it was the way it was being controlled. It had nothing to do that it was a state funeral. It had everything to do with the fact that we need to bury this guy, but we need to make sure that they do not destabilize further the Luo Nyanza block. So what you're seeing in the front page of the Standard is, I call them Ruto's pawns. How is he? Which ones can he use? Which ones can he use to keep Luo Nyanza? And he's very aware that there's some people he can absorb and keep very close to him, but they don't have the ground, they don't have the people. The idea is not an individual, the idea is taking an individual who can sway the masses to stay within the two-term movement. Yeah, and when you look at all those faces, I'm sorry to say, other than Sifuna and Babu Owino, and maybe Caleb to some stretch extent, even if he adopts all the rest of the other ones, he will just have one vote each. One vote for Buru, one vote for Gladys Wanga, one vote for Paranya, one vote for Mbadi. Maybe even Mbadi will not vote for him, but one vote for Mbadi. And that's it.
And that's it.
I don't know. For me, I really want to say that I have a lot of respect for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, because he could have gone to that funeral and he could have done what every other politician was doing at that funeral. PR and networking as to life after Baba. But I feel like understanding where he was with Baba, and in all fairness, one thing that people have to understand is that when we were impeaching Rigathi Gachagua, it would not have been possible if the handshake was not there. It would not have been possible to get enough numbers to impeach Rigathi Gachagua in both houses if Raila Odinga had not said, okay, let's impeach him. It would not have been possible, because the ODM members were guided by what Raila as the party leader wanted. Yeah. And when he told them, you know, for the betterment, whatever situation, I wasn't there, but I imagine he had a conversation with them about, we need to move forward. We are now in the handshake. The country needs to move forward. And, you know, this guy, they don't want him, blah, blah, blah. Whatever he sold the story to, the ODM, most of those ODM members actually impeached Gachagua at the request of Raila Odinga. So, people are saying, be a statesperson, put it aside, go and whatever. You have never been a deputy president who has been impeached. You have never been a deputy president who knows that the impeachment only happened because of the goodwill of Baba. So you don't know what he's going through. The same way that you feel that, you know, this is my hero. You don't know what someone else feels about that person. So I feel like, out of respect, he chose to stay away. And I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. At first I was like, come on, you know, get over it, go for the funeral. And then someone put it into context with even what is happening with me. You know, there are some people today, if they died, I wouldn't go for their funeral because of how they have contributed towards some of the trials and tribulations that I am going through. And you're not going to tell me, suck it up and go for the funeral because you're a leader. No, I will mourn you in my own way, however way I want to, or I will keep absent, you know. So I feel that as politicians, for once, Kenyans are seeing politicians for who they are. Yeah. I mean, the governor from Mombasa was wailing, posing for pictures in his somber mood. I'm sorry, but I didn't buy it at all.
I mean, let's look at, many have said that now that the death of Baba, may he rest in peace, has happened, that there are many political orphans who don't know where to go.
Absolutely.
And that further look at it in terms of Luo Nyanza and even Baba supporters, that finally now the issue of, if Baba holds your hand, you become the de facto leader, you don't even need to go campaign, that finally leaders will go back to the people and convince people why they deserve that vote.
I feel that also, just putting that in a blanket statement, like black and white, it's Baba did a lot of things for Luo Nyanza. Even if people are like, oh, now we can, you de facto go to there are places, by the time also Baba held your hand, you had to have done something, or you had to have proven to the people that, I don't think you would just wake up and take, you know, the next relative and say, okay, this is your MP. There was some sort of political, he was also politically wise. So so for people to say like, oh, now we are liberated, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch in terms of Luo Nyanza. There are areas, for instance, in Migori, where the women rep was an independent candidate. Why? Because the hand that was held by Baba at that time, the people didn't feel like that is the leader that we wanted. So the people have always had the freedom to vote. I don't think they should blame Baba so much so for that, because there are areas where Baba held the hand and guys were like, no, I'm sorry, Baba, we love you, but this one we are not going to give you. But I think what is happening is, of course, Baba had so much influence. And even when he would speak to the masses, he would convince you that, listen, you might think this one is a leader, but I'm telling you, I've seen through ABCD that this one is the leader. These people, they hang on to Baba, they overburdened him with their lazy kind of thinking. They literally just weighed him down. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but sometimes I think that if Baba didn't have all this baggage of all these politicians who are useless, I think even some of the illnesses that he was going through, he wouldn't have gone through them, because they burdened him. You have political deadweights who just hang on to Baba, and for some reason, being the person that he was, perhaps even, let me say, the kind person that he was, he felt the need to carry all this weight on his shoulder. You know, you see people like Governor Sakaja who can't just, you won the damn seat as a governor of Nairobi, just work so that Nairobians can see you working and they'll get you re-elected. No, just hang on to Baba on everything. So I feel like people have used Baba and have literally overburdened him when he was alive. And even in death, they are hanging on to him like you will not believe it. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but these people, if given a chance, they would even take his body to do politics with it. That's the kind of horrible, some of the leadership we have in this country. That they don't know what else to do. They are so used to hanging on to Baba that the panic that you see, you know, when Governor Kahiga unfortunately said those utterances, ODM came out with like 7 press conferences. Everybody was at press conference, you know, everyone trying to ride on to that. And, you know, I mean, to me, it felt like if you're confident in who you are as a politician and the work that you're doing for your people, you don't even need to put out a press conference. I mean, Wanga has put out a press conference, Orengo put out a press conference, Governor Simba Arati out with his press releases, and everybody, it was like everyone was busy. Why?
Talking.
Why? You know, why? Let it go. And one person has spoken. They're all fighting to figure out what are we going to do, life after Baba. I really like even the Standard front page, Ruto after Raila, because really it is a reality. It is Ruto after Raila. It is life after Baba. It is, for some people, it is what next after Baba, because their political careers are dead. They were buried on
just
Sunday.
a little bit. All right, their careers were buried on Sunday, meaning, because this word overtures just comes and plays out here, whereby the assumption is that there are a lot of positions that people hold today, whether it is MCA, whether it is member of parliament, whether it is senator, courtesy of Baba, because he spoke a word and the people said, okay, we will give it to you because Baba has said.
Yes.
Now, in his absence, does that mean that these positions are all but gone?
Yeah. I mean, even the looming cabinet reshuffle. Why? There are people who Baba literally fought for and continued to fight for till when he was in India. In death, he was fighting for them. And even in those spaces, they bring nothing. They bring nothing to the table. They are not wanted. They were only there because Baba wanted them there. Even the cabinet reshuffle should tell you that it's like, okay, now we are done. You know, old man has passed on. Rest his soul in peace. Now we move on.